Hey everyone, Drew here, and last week I already hinted at a potential new release of a Dark Rizette on this channel, and now she is already here. We have a new Dark Endless Rizette, the Angel of the Sleepless City. What can she do for poison? Let's check out her skill set. First up, her speed, above average at 442. Other than that, the classic DPS build. First up, we have Poison Scourge. It is applying mega poison to an enemy on top of an actual attack that is applied. It produces 2 spirit, costs 100 time units, and the mega poison lasts for 100 time units as well. This attack ignores skin, passive effects, and counter stance effects, and on top of all that, the damage is also increased to 300% if this Dark Rizette is a conjured unit. More on that later on the passive side. Then we have her second skill, the only skill from her skill set that actually consumes spirit, and it consumes 2 spirit, costs 100 time units as well, and it is called Poison Carnage, and it is an upgraded Poison Devour skill, dealing 500% damage to a poisoned enemy unit, healing 100% of HP, and also gaining the counter stance status effect. And then we have another new instant skill, and this time it is instant mega poison, costing 1 time unit, of course, producing 1 spirit, so very easy to use in that sense. Also, from an unlock condition, she just needs to deal damage and then it becomes unlocked again, so that is a very low threshold considering her counter stance skill set. And yeah, one more thing that is necessary to mention is that it is actually a random enemy that gets that mega poison status effect, so she can't directly target a guard, for example, which is definitely a nerf to that. And then as a fourth skill, we have a skill that does a lot of things. Again, this is one is called Endless Resolve, and she gains the Endure status effect. Of course, this is, as always, the temporary hold ground. She also gains the counter stance status effect, and she gains the burn ward, which basically means she is immune to burn once before it gets removed again. The counter stance is also important here because she cannot use it if she has the counter stance status effect. Only if that isn't the case, then she can use it. But all in all, very powerful skill considering that it's 50 time units and 1 spirit plus. Now we see the passive skills here, and the first one is the Endless Revenge. And you might find that it isn't that endless actually, but it's still decent. But it is a revenge skill, so it can be ignored by a lot of attacks. But if her initial form dies and this Endless Revenge triggers, she will be revived, but to a random place in the allied reinforcements with full HP. So anywhere in the reinforcements, that could be at the very end, it could be at the very start, immediately reappearing. So kind of huge RNG factor here, I have to say. But that new unit, or that second form of her, the second version, if she comes to the second to the battlefield the second time, that one is actually going to be more powerful, because the second time she comes on, she will have light speed entry, which means she gets the turn immediately, and she also is quickened immediately, so all her skills are reduced by 20% TU. Now the second passive is a Mega Poison Aura, which is basically an upgrade from the Super Poison skin from the initial Dark Rizette. This one basically means whenever she takes damage from an attack and survives until after the end of the turn, a random enemy that is not poisoned or sleeping will become mega poisoned for 100 time units. And important fact here is that it is explicitly written that this is not a skin passive skill. Which seems a bit lazy because it seems like a skin passive skill that is just not called a skin passive skill, so it can't be ignored by a lot of the nowadays common attacks that ignore skin passive skills. I mean, even including this new Endless Reset, we know that the first skill ignores skin passive skills, but it will not ignore the Mega Poison Aura if she encounters herself on the enemy team, basically. Let's check her AI for a bit. Basically, whenever an enemy is poisoned, her hate is actually getting pretty high, 1.25, which could help her if she has the counter stance active. Other than that, if she's just coming onto the battlefield and there are some poisoned enemies, it might be bad times for her, but I mean, she still has the chance to revive a second time, I suppose. Then from a skill weight perspective, I think this looks pretty good. She should always be able to use the instant Mega Poison whenever it is unlocked, which is very good. And then we have the Poison Carnage. Still will need to see how that works in comparison to the Endless Resolve with the modifiers, how much she will do there. I feel like the instant Mega Poison and Poison Carnage combo could be quite powerful. Maybe the Endless Resolve is of higher priority, especially when she actually has no Endure active, and the Burn Ward combination should help her survive a bit longer. But now we're already going into the analysis. Now this time it will be a bit quick and dirty because I'm actually currently traveling, so I'll have to be a bit more concise and less detailed in my analysis and predictions for this new Dark Reset. But I do think she does show a lot of promise, especially if these kind of combos work well. The instant Mega Poison only being needing an unlock in terms of an attack being dealt by this unit actually means that it's very, very easy to unlock. So I think this is definitely an upgrade compared to Dark Alice, who has always suffered from the TU limitations of these skills, the instant Devour being locked for 100 time units and her Revenge or Vengeance skill only being active for 300 time units. Both of these are not the case for this new Dark Reset, and what that also means is that she can basically, if there are no guards around, activate the instant Mega Poison. A random enemy will get the poison status effect, so at least one of them will be poisoned, and she can then hopefully have enough spirit for the Poison Carnage, which will deal a lot of damage on top of that Mega Poison damage that this unit will suffer. Of course, it doesn't ignore armor, but that is not too concerning in my eyes because of that Mega Poison damage on top of that. And she does gain the counter stance effect with that attack. And because this attack, of course, deals damage, 500% of that, it basically will unlock the instant Mega Poison again. So if she gets attacked, which might be likely if there's some poisoned enemies on the team still surviving that whole Mega Poison stuff, then she will get another turn, hopefully, if it isn't ignored, of course, and then just repeat that again, doing the instant Mega Poison to a unit and then doing the Poison Carnage. Or if she isn't able to do the Poison Carnage because maybe the poisoned unit is protected by a guard and she didn't get the turn via counter stance, she should still be able to do the Endless Resolve. That's where all of that skill set kind of, in my mind at least, can work quite well together because of the limitation of the counter stance status effect. Of course, it cannot be immediately reapplied, but she has that kind of instant Mega Poison skill and then two other skills then that can give her the counter stance status again. if it works that way. So that combination could be quite lethal in the end. Of course, there are a lot of purifiers out there right now, and her whole skill set really relies on poison, with that kind of balancing change in the poison prioritization of mega poison now taking the absolute priority over super poison and poison. That is nice, and that also helps some other poison units like Dark Alice and Dark Jean, etc., because Dark Jean always was kind of risky in overwriting mega poison from other units, for example. But the question is if it is enough, because how do I put this? What I would have liked to see from a new dark unit is a unit that is actually elevating the whole team type of possibly blood or poison in a similar fashion that Commander Astrid did for Burn. I can't really see that with this new Dark Rizette. She is still more of a standalone unit. Sure, she has a really nice skill set. The Burn Ward could come in handy, just making her survive a bit longer, because if she has Endure and can't get killed from Burn, that helps. Of course, she can get killed by Burn, but it is less likely with that kind of Burn Ward active. Her Mega Poison Aura doesn't screw with Sleep, so it's again another poison unit like Earth Ossia that can also easily work with Sleep together. I'm not sure if they are pushing that further now. Can it help against huge burn teams? I'm not sure if it is enough. We have to see more on that later. One thing that I really don't like so much for her is the kind of revenge passive that she has. On the one hand, that it is actually a revenge passive, which, as we know, can get ignored quite often. So that's rough, because she really needs that kind of second life. And then on the other hand, the RNG involved in when she gets that second life. It can be anywhere in your platoon, and that really messes with the synergy, I think, because the problem here is that it could mess up a blood team. You can never be sure about that not happening. It could mess up, especially if you're kind of mixing teams. It's really kind of a prevention of having any burn units run after Dark Rizette in your platoons for Arena, for example, because if she runs right into that, then it really messes up your burn synergy. That said, burn is more popular and a stronger choice for platoon 1 anyways for Arena, so her coming in later should still be okay. In general, she might be a better finisher unit, or rather, for war platoons, for example, making those quite good, because then the RNG isn't really important in her revival that much. That said, I would have liked, given that it's kind of endless, I mean, on the one hand, it's not even that endless because it's just a second life, and we've seen it before with Haku, so it's kind of a reincarnation of revenge with some other nice gimmicks. But I don't know, I feel like they could have at least made it so that she isn't getting that RNG from when she comes back into reinforcement, but maybe instead just put her immediately next in the reinforcements, so it's like a really kind of endless feeling where it's like, okay, the enemy defeats her, but she immediately comes on the battlefield again, gets the lightspeed entry, gets the auto quicken, and really continues to absolutely dominate with her mega poison. That is at least the idea in theory, but yeah, it's not the way it is. I mean, it could happen based on RNG, but if you run her close to the front of your arena team, then there's a lot of different positions she could get sent to. Another problem with that is, especially if you have Morris in the back, I don't quite like her being around Morris, because it's really good if she does get attacked. I mean, she has the counter stand status effect often, I think, and then also the Mega Poison Aura. So it isn't really nice for her to not be able to get attacked. That is also, I guess, a bit of a question then for how she would play out in a platoon 1 or in a war platoon, being right at the front. I mean, the instant mega poison should be immediately unlocked, so could be quite spicy, but again, against guards it is a bit problematic that she can't just do her thing because of that mega poison being randomly applied. The same is true for her mega poison aura, so the only targeted mega poison skill that she has is the first skill, which is definitely her weakest. Okay, all that being said, let's wrap it up a bit quicker this time. If you run a poison team, I think she's a very easy pick. Definitely should get her. If not, I suggest you wait a bit longer and see how her performance will be, especially from an AI perspective. But she should be okay to use in many different teams, of course not in burn teams. She has a weakness against stun. That is also something that is quite important. No kind of stun ward or stun immunity for her. Also, sleep might be problematic, although at least she has that kind of revenge passive that should help her a bit. And she is sometimes in vulnerable states. But if she can dish out a lot of these mega poisons, if she can pull off these combos between the counter stance, the instant mega poison, and then dealing damage with an attack and basically resetting her counter stance passive, hopefully with that kind of second active skill, then she can do a lot of good. But given it's a poison unit, and I don't think it's quite enough, even with the balance change, to bring back poison big time, I'm not sure she can surpass the S tier in my tier list. Although the nostalgia in me hopes that she does, given that she was my first SSR, the initial Dark Rizette from 3.5 years ago. That is, she dominated at the beginning of Evertale 2.0. Let's see where this one falls now. I mean, there has been huge power creep lately, so this one doesn't feel like a huge step up. That's it for now. Thanks to Lens.js, Nizetto and Saturn as always for the materials that I used in this video. Stay tuned to see how she will perform in the top level arena. As always, I will post a video on that as soon as possible. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed that review, and as always, thanks for watching.